Hi Gemini, welcome to your December 2024 horoscope. Yes, this is the last month of the year. I hope you're excited for it. And if you're already wondering what 2025 has in store for you, I wanted to let you know that I am doing personalized year ahead readings. There's only 5 of them available for what I think is quite a reasonable price, at quite a big discount from what my regular birth chart readings are priced at. So if you want to check out one of those, I'll leave the link for you in the description box and in the comments as well. On December 1st, we start off the month with a new moon in the sign of Sagittarius. For you, Gemini, this is your 7th house of your partnerships, relationships. So you might be starting a new adventure with your partner, and you might be finding yourself thinking a lot more philosophically about what it means to be in a partnership. For the sake of this video, we won't get into the new moon anymore, but I did post a new moon in Sagittarius video where we go through everything you can expect. We go through all of the zodiac signs. I'll leave that for you right here. On December 4th, we have the Sun squaring Saturn. While the Sun is in your 7th house, Saturn is in your 10th house. And because these are angular houses, you might especially be feeling this transit. And I know that we just said that you're starting a new adventure with your partnerships. However, now on December 4th, you might feel like there's a block, there's a restriction that is maybe slowing you down a bit with this new adventure, that's maybe making you need to take a detour, take a different approach to get there. Please do be patient, because honestly, this transit doesn't last very long. The Sun moves quite fast, so the square will loosen up quite quickly. So just be patient and know that you'll be able to continue pursuing this adventure with your partner very soon. A couple of days later, on December 6th, we have Mars going retrograde. Mars will be going retrograde in your 3rd house. However, while it's traveling backwards, it will also end up entering your 2nd house at a certain point. Mars will be retrograde until February of 2025. So you might find yourself having a lot of stop and go situations when it comes to being able to share your opinion and your thoughts, and also when it comes to your finances. You might feel like there's this energy of, okay, I want to go. I want to start this new way of writing or teaching, or I want to start a new way of communicating with others. I want to start making more money. I want to start budgeting. But you're just not able to because Mars will be retrograde. Again, I want to give a piece of advice, if I may, and that is to be patient. Try not to act out of frustration, and try to just remember that this is for just a season of life, and that from March of 2025, things should hopefully flow a little bit more easier in these areas of your life. The next day, on December 7th, we have Venus entering the sign of Aquarius. And because Pluto is right there at 0 degrees of Aquarius, Venus ends up conjuncting Pluto. On the same day, if that wasn't enough, we also have the Sun opposing Jupiter. This could be quite challenging because both of the good planets, Venus and Jupiter, are in uncomfortable situations. With Jupiter in your 1st house being opposed by the Sun, you might feel like you're not able to relay your own power, your own way as an individual. You might find that others are maybe stepping over your boundaries. You might find that you are not able to really step up to this leadership position, that you have to sort of follow what others are doing or saying. And as a result of that, of not being able to stand in your own ground, you might have to end up facing the demons that you have, the not so healthy values that you have in your life. You might have to come to head with, for example, the fact that you value beauty in your partnerships. You might find out that actually, no matter how good looking my partner is, if their soul doesn't allow me to be my own individual, doesn't respect me as my own individual, then this is not worth it. This is just one example, of course, but just keep in mind that it's something about you not being able to stand as your own individual, and as a result, needing to question if you have made the right decisions based on certain values. If you value something that perhaps you're now thinking, maybe that's not something that I want to fashion my life around. The next day, on December 8th, we have Neptune going direct. Neptune will be going direct in your 10th house of career. So from the 8th onwards, you might feel like you can start dreaming again about your career, dreaming about where you could be heading, dreaming about how it could evolve and become better, and maybe just feeling more in love with what it is that you do for work. A couple of days later, on December 12th, we have an opposition between Venus and Mars. For you, this is affecting your 9th and 3rd houses. During this opposition, you might feel torn in two different ways. There might be this childlike part of you that just throws a tantrum and says, but I don't care. I don't want to think about what other people want or how they perceive me. I just want to do what I want. I just want to respond right away and go with the flow and do what makes me happy. On the other side, there's this other part of you that says, but no, relationships are important to me. I really should stop, reflect, think, remove myself from the situation, think about what's happening, process it, and then come back and react. So you might find yourself trying to balance these two parts of yourself. Then we reach the middle of the month on December 15th with a full moon in your sign, in Gemini. This is a full moon in your 1st house, Gemini, so you will be reaching a crescendo or a peak when it comes to your own identity and your leadership skills. Whatever you have been reaping during a full moon, you will sow. If you have been making sure to stand your ground, set your boundaries, make sure that the way you're talking, looking, the way you're dressing is really accurately representing who you are, then you will find yourself sowing good results from that. And vice versa. If you had maybe not been expressing yourself, holding yourself back, letting others overstep your boundaries, you will start to see some repercussions from that. All of that being said, closer to December 15th, I will do an entire full moon video horoscope. We'll go into more details about this full moon. We'll go through all of the rising signs. So if you want to make sure that you catch that one, make sure you subscribe. Then on December 20th, we have Venus trining Jupiter. As we've already said, Venus is in your 9th house, Jupiter is in your 1st house. And what you might find happening around this day is that the fact that you have allowed yourself to think of others, be considerate of others, take a step back and think before reacting is somehow helping you in being your own unique individual. You know, I can imagine it might be difficult to wrap our heads around, but sometimes it's the more we try to assert ourselves in a dominant way, like don't overstep my boundaries, this is who I am, the less it has that desired effect. Sometimes if we treat others with respect and let them be their own unique individuals, a lot of the times, somehow that also translates to the way they start treating us. And you might find that to be true around this day. The next day, on December 21st, the sun enters the sign of Capricorn, or your 8th house. If you would like to feel more rejuvenated, inspired, ready to jump out of bed, then from the 21st onwards, you want to make sure that you are spending time being vulnerable and intimate with somebody that you trust. A couple of days later, on December 24th, we have Jupiter square Saturn. And you're right, this square has happened before. And the reason it's happening again is because the planets have moved retrograde. So now they end up squaring each other again. For you, Gemini, the square is happening in your angular houses. So you might be one of the zodiac signs that especially feels this square on the 24th. What you might find happening around this day is that the situations at your workspace are making it difficult for you to stand as your own unique individual. Perhaps your boundaries are being overstepped at your work. Perhaps you're not being respected as an individual. Perhaps you find that you have to set aside your own leadership in order to follow the leadership of somebody else. And then we reach the final 2 transits of December. One of them is on December 28th, when Venus squares Uranus. And for you, Gemini, these are your 9th and 12th houses. With Uranus in your 12th house, you have been exploring your spirituality for a while now. You have been thinking about what it means to be spiritual, what it means for you. How do you, as a person, connect to things that go beyond this physical world? On this day, however, you might find that these new practices, this perhaps new spirituality, this new definition of spirituality you have, is challenging some of your values. Perhaps one of your values before was amassing a large amount of money, being financially successful. And you find that as you are figuring out what spirituality really means, that perhaps that value doesn't match with it anymore. And again, this is just one example. I'm not trying to say that you cannot be spiritual and wealthy at the same time. But in general, this square is your spiritual world, your spiritual practices are making you question some of your life values. And then we reach the final transit in December, which happens on December 30th. And this is a new moon in Capricorn in your 8th house. So you're finishing off the month by starting a new chapter when it comes to your intimate life. Perhaps you are opening up to somebody in a new way. Perhaps you're getting ideas about how you can increase your vulnerability with a partner. How you're getting ideas about trying out new ways of intimacy as well. So honestly, it's a really nice way to end off the month of December. So Gemini, there are definitely a couple of houses that are getting repeated, that are getting bombarded during the month of December. And this means that you're definitely going to have very specific themes in the month of December. So as a recap, some of the ones that we've talked about were your vulnerability and intimacy. Your values are a huge one this month. And then we also talked, of course, about your career and your individuality, you standing in your own ground, respecting yourself, and not letting others step over your boundaries. So these in general are the themes that will most likely be prevalent for you in the month of December. And don't forget, if you are wanting to know already what 2025 has in store for you, you can book a personalized year ahead reading. There are only 5 of them, so make sure you grab one before they're all gone. Thanks for joining me, Gemini. Let me know down in the comments if you're excited for the last month of this year. And I hope to see you again soon.